pen friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Devin, and for today's video, we are diving into the holiday spirit. I know it's a little bit early, and normally I would wait until after Thanksgiving to do any sort of holiday related type activities, but I thought this video might be useful to those of you who are trying to get a head start on all of your holiday gifts for this season. To kick off this series, I wanted to share with you 3 very easy DIY Christmas cards that you can do at home with your favorite fountain pen inks. Before we get started, you'll want to gather up these supplies, starting with your favorite fountain pen inks, some cardstock, a ruler, an X-Acto knife or scissors, cotton swabs, a pencil, and your choice of markers. For the paper, I'm using this 98-pound mixed media paper by Canson, and I cut it down to size with my X-Acto knife. So these 3 cards measure out to about 3.5 by 4.5 inches, but you can of course cut them to your desired size or shape. This first holiday greeting card is the simplest out of the 3. To start, you'll want to pick one of your fountain pen inks and dip your cotton swab into it. Then we're going to swatch this onto the card in the general shape of a triangle, and this is going to somewhat resemble a Christmas tree. Start with swiping your cotton swab at the most narrow point towards the top of the paper, and as you work your way down, increase the width. This may be my favorite card design that I'm going to share with you guys today because it really is that simple. So we're going to put our fountain pen ink and cotton swab aside. We'll need that for the next card, but we're going to go ahead and start planning out what kind of greeting we want to put on the card. I thought it would be really cute if we put thinking of you because the word ink is included in thinking. I know it's a little cheesy, but I think it turned out really nice. Once you're happy with what you've sketched out, you can go ahead and fill it in with your markers. I would recommend actually erasing your pencil markings beforehand because I did run into a little bit of smudging trying to erase after I had already used the markers, so learn from my mistakes. At this point, I also pulled out a paint marker so that I could fill in the star and the trunk of the tree. I thought that this Christmas tree could use a couple of ornaments, and as you guys might be able to tell, I'm not the greatest artist in the world, so I stuck with very simple shapes like circles and ovals, and I was feeling a little bold at the end and threw in a candy cane. To finish off this card, I decided to write the name of the ink below the Christmas tree. That way, if the recipient does like the ink swatch, they have that information to reference. 1 card down, 2 more to go. So for this card design, I opted for a landscape orientation, and to start this card, you'll want to draw 3 circles. To make this a little bit easier for myself, I used a jar lid to help guide my pencil, but you could also use your ink bottles if they are a circular shape. Actually, I take that back because ornaments come in all different shapes and sizes, so if you used your ink bottles to mark out the shape of the ornament, that would be a fun way to further customize this card. Whatever shapes you've decided on, once you're done sketching them out, you'll want to grab your fountain pen inks and start swatching them onto the card. If your design runs to the edge of the card like it does on mine, then you'll want to grab a scrap piece of paper to lay underneath the cardstock as you work on swatching that ink onto the card. This way you can run to the very edge of the page and get all of that filled in without ruining your work surface. Here's another bonus tip / lesson I learned after I did these cards. I would recommend taping down this card to another piece of paper using some light adhesive like washi tape, and the reason why is because after I put down the ink swatches, the edges of the card started to curl, and that can sometimes happen when you're working with different mediums on certain types of paper. I didn't think that it would be the case with this paper, but it happened, so just a heads up that you might want to plan ahead. Just like the previous card, I decided to write the names of the inks that I used next to the swatches. That way, whoever I give this card to, if they decide they like the way the inks look, they have that information to reference. To give our ornaments just a little bit more structure, I decided to outline the circles with my brush marker and added a very simple design to each of the ornaments. I didn't want to take away from the ink swatches, so I stuck with lines and squiggles. For this next card, you'll want to grab your ruler and a pencil to start. We're going to be doodling some wonderful holiday gifts. To make this simple for myself, I used the ruler to draw out some rectangular and square-like shapes. I added some lines to represent the ribbon as well as these little loops at the top of the gifts. I even added some gift tags, that way I would have a space to write in the names of the inks once we're done swatching them into the presents. When you're happy with what you've sketched, you can go ahead and use your marker to start outlining the gifts. After you're done outlining, don't forget to erase those pencil markings to avoid smudging and smearing later. Trust me on that one. Now it's time to get inky again. Go ahead and grab one of your fountain pen inks and cotton swabs to start swatching the inks into the presents. I decided that I was going to leave the ribbons blank for now, that way I could come in with a different accent color later. I thought it would give a nice contrast to the card overall. I also decided to leave the tags completely blank, that way I could write in the ink names at the very end. Something else that I would recommend after doing these cards myself is to maybe get one of those precision cotton swabs. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Where it becomes more narrow towards the end. If you want to be very precise with coloring and swatching within the lines of your doodles, then that might be a good little tool to consider. Now it's time to put in the finishing touches on our card. I grabbed a silver paint marker to color in the ribbons, but any metallic marker can do the job. I also went ahead and re-outlined the tags so that they stood out a little bit more and wrote in the ink names for the corresponding swatches. Just as we did with the first card, I took the same greeting, thinking of you, and lettered it at the top of the card. And there you have it, 3 wonderfully simple holiday-tastic cards that you can do on your own with your favorite fountain pen inks. This is a great way to let someone know that you're thinking of them this holiday season, or just a unique way to share some ink swatches with your pen friends. If you decide to try out any of these Christmas cards for yourself, please feel free to connect with me over on Instagram. My username is @Devin N with 2 N's and 2 U's. You guys can tag me and use the hashtag DIY with Dev so I can find your Christmas cards. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up and feel free to share it with a pen friend who you think might also enjoy it. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn on those notifications. That way you don't miss the upcoming holiday themed videos that I have planned for you. I do my best to upload here every Thursday evening, so please take care until then. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.